Hi everyone, Stepan here. Today I'm going to continue the Endgame series with the Knight and Bishop Checkmate. Before I start, I just want to say that I'm incredibly thankful for those of you who decided to become patrons. It means a great deal to me, and the last 2 days have been completely unreal, and I can't really get my thoughts straight, and I feel like I'm in a dream. But I'll try to focus on the video now. So anyway, before I move on to king and pawn endings, I would like to cover 2 basic checkmates, knight and bishop checkmate and the 2 bishops checkmate. Of course, the knight and bishop checkmate is the crucial one and the hardest one. And I've heard that Hui Fan drew a game once in the knight and bishop checkmate ending. So to make sure it doesn't happen to you, I'm going to explain all the details on how to do it. I'm going to go through it in simple stages, which you can memorize and follow and make sure that you always manage to checkmate. And at the end of the video, I've set up a random position and I'm going to try to checkmate myself, hopefully not embarrass myself. Okay, so the first thing you need to remember is that in chess there's a 50 move rule, meaning that if there are no pawn moves and no captures in 50 moves and no checkmate, the game is a draw. So in this example, when one side has only a knight and a bishop, the other side has only a king, and there are no pawns on the board, hence there are no possible pawn moves, the only solution to avoid a draw is to checkmate. So during a real game, once the last piece gets exchanged, you have 50 moves to do it, otherwise it's a draw. Okay, the second principle you have to remember is that you can only checkmate in the same color of your bishop. So in this example which I've set up, white can only checkmate the black king in the corner on a8 or on h1. I've set up this exact position specifically because it's the worst possible position for white to have in order to checkmate. Every single position you can put on the board is going to be easier than this, because as you can see, the black king is already in the opposite colored squared center, and it can even challenge the center, and the white king is far away. Now, the second thing I would like to highlight is that the first idea you need to have in mind is that same as with rook checkmate and queen checkmate, which I'm not going to cover in the video because I think it's really simple, you need to take as much space with your king before moving your other pieces. So that's the first thing. If you have this position in the real game, the first thing you want to do is get your king as close as possible to the black king. That should be the first principle. After that, the principle is to restrain the black king with your pieces. In that, there are certain subtleties which we are going to discuss, the major one being the knight maneuver in the form of a W. So for example, you move your knight to the 7th rank, to the 5th rank, to the 7th rank, to the 5th rank. For example, f7, e5, d7, c5, b7, c5, etc. And using the W maneuver with your knight, you have the thematic restraining of the king. So let's get into it. So, as we said, the first thing you want to do is move your king closer up to the board, so king e2. I've analyzed this position already, and this one is completely correct. As I said, at the end of the video, I've set up a random position which I'm going to play out myself. But this one, for the sake of the video, I'm sure it's perfect. I'm sorry, let me just turn off my phone. Somebody kept calling me. Okay, so king g7. The black king needs to come as close to the center as possible, and when it cannot challenge the center anymore, it needs to return to the square, which is as far away as possible from the light squared corner. a8 and h1 are the only 2 squares where white can checkmate, so the black king needs to stay as far away as possible. So king f3, restraining the king. King f6, king f4. King g6, knight e3. Once you cannot get closer anymore, you need to bring your pieces in. King f6, bishop d3, restraining the black king. King f7, the king could have also gone to e6, but this is more challenging because the king stays closer to the corner. King f5, move your king up the board. King g7, knight g4. If you cannot move closer, bring your pieces in. King f7, knight e5 check, restraining the king. You really don't mind the king going to e7 because it brings him closer to the corner on a8, so the king is probably going to go to g7. Bishop e4, a waiting move. The king doesn't really have that many squares. It can go to h6, f8, and h8. If it goes to f7, your king is going to advance and the king is going to be cut off. So the most challenging move is king h8. After king h8, you bring your king closer, and this is the first stage complete. The first stage of the process is bringing your opponent's king to the back rank, any square. Once you bring it to the back rank, you are going to be able to push it to a corner, any corner. You don't have to checkmate, you cannot checkmate on h8, but once you have brought your king to a corner, opposite colored squared corner, there is a thematic maneuver which you can follow, which will help you drive it to the correct colored square, the correct colored corner. So for the moment, you have completed the first stage. This took us 10 moves. So let's see once again. So king e2, king g7, king f3, king f6, king f4, king g6, knight e3, knight f6, bishop d3, king f7. You can see that we are trying to restrain the king with our king and only then moving the pieces up the board. This part is fairly simple, up until king f6. So bring your king to the back rank and specifically to a corner, to any corner. From then on, it's the simplest. Okay, so it's black to move. Black plays king g8. He needs to play king g8, that's the only possible square. And now you begin your onslaught. You want to have waiting moves. The knight and bishop checkmate involves numerous waiting moves which you need to know how to use and when to use them. Now is the time to use the waiting move. Why is that so? You don't have a good square for your king. That's certain. If the black king goes back to h8, your king is perfectly placed on f6, having distant opposition. If the black king goes to f8, your king also has the opposition. And if you haven't seen the video on the opposition, see it, and that will be useful here. So bishop f5. This move puts black in Zugzwang. Black has to move and make his position worse. Why is that? Once the king goes back to h8, which is the best move, you now get the thematic W knight maneuver in. What do I mean by that? You now get to play knight f7 check. Now look at the squares which the black king can go to. There is only one. The only square the black king can go to is g8. After g8, the only road is towards a8 and checkmate. So what happened from king f6 on move 10? He played king g8, I played bishop f5, a waiting move, king h8, and now knight f7. This is the move you want to achieve. This is the setup you want to have. This setup is going to drive your opponent's king to the correct corner. After knight f7 check, king g8, and now you begin. The maneuver we are going to use, and this is the most important thing to remember about the knight and bishop checkmate, and the only hard thing to remember is the W knight maneuver. The W knight maneuver is this. You are going to see, and I'm going to highlight it afterwards, but the knight is going to go like this. This is a W, and this is the thing you need to do in order to win. If you don't move your knight in a W, you're not going to win, it's going to be a draw. And some of these moves are counterintuitive, especially when the black king at one point reaches the c7 square or the f7 square if you're pushing it towards h8 and have a dark squared bishop. Once the king reaches the c7 square, we are going to get to our second critical point. So after king g8, you need another waiting move. Why do you need another waiting move? If you move your knight, the king can go to h8. If you move your bishop from this diagonal, let's say you move it to d7, then the king can go to h7 and escape. That means that you need to keep your bishop on this diagonal, b1 to h7. You need to keep your king on f6, because once the black king gets to f8, you're going to have the opposition, and you need to keep your knight here in order to prevent the king from entering h8. So a waiting move, bishop e4, forcing the king back. Remember the waiting moves, because they are going to be the ones that put black in Zugzwang. If black doesn't have to move, you cannot checkmate. The knight and bishop checkmate is when you force your opponent's king to checkmate himself. That's the only way. So bishop e4, a waiting move. Black has only one move, king f8. What do you do now? This is the second critical move, and this is always going to be the same. The move is, you have to prevent the king from entering the g8 square. You need to force it forward. So which squares are taken for now? The g7 square and the h8 square. So the king can choose between g8 and e8. e7 is taken by the king. So these squares are taken. You want your king to go towards this corner. So the move is bishop h7, restraining the king. Bishop h7. The king has only one move. It needs to move to the corner you want him to move to. So king e8. Now we get to the second part of the W maneuver. This move is crucial, and this is the move which most people fail to find. The W maneuver, as we said, is this. So our next move is knight e5. What does knight e5 do? There's one crucial point. It keeps the king on the back rank. Which squares are taken? These squares. You are keeping the king on the back rank. The king can go to f8. Of course, we are going to look at that, but that's less resistant. If it goes to f8, you play knight d7 check. All the squares are taken. The king can only go to e8, and now you play king e6. You have full opposition. King d8, bishop e4, restraining the king further. Let's say king e8 being resistant, but bishop f3, another waiting move. The king needs to go back, and from then on, it's going to be the same. So let's look at the most resistant move. After knight e5, the best move for black is king to d8. King d8. Now, this is the scary part, and even if you know the W maneuver with the knight, most people mess up here. And I myself, when I started training the knight and bishop checkmate, I would set up a random position on the board each morning or each day when I'm training and try to solve it. And I would usually mess up here, and this would freak me out because it's really counterintuitive and it's really hard to find. The thing is, you need to allow the king to escape from the back rank. It might seem bad, but you have to allow him to escape. And this is the point of knight e5. You allow the king to d8, and the king can enter the c7 square, but it's no problem, as we are going to see, because of the W maneuver with the knight and the restraining power of your bishop. The move is the best move in the position, king e6. King e6 prevents the king from escaping any further up the board. So king c7, and now you might think, oh, he's getting away. But the W maneuver, as we said, king f7, king e5, king d7, king c5, king b7, this is going to be your maneuver. So remember this. This point is crucial. Once the king gets to c7, you play knight d7. Why do you play knight d7? The king cannot go into b6. This is crucial. You cannot allow it to go to b6. So it can go either to d8, or it can go to c6. If it goes to c6, then you are going to push it further down the board with bishop check and force it down the board. The best move in this position is king d8 once again. Once the king gets to d8, you don't want to allow it to escape. Of course, bishop here isn't really necessary, forcing the king forward this way, because the king can then go to b7. So let's say bishop g3, king c8, king d6, and king b7 would be slightly easier for black. So you play a waiting move. You play a perfect waiting move. Bishop d3. Once again, the king can go to e8, but then you are going to force it back with tempo. And after he has come here, you are going to play king d6. The most resistant move is king c7. After king c7, once again, it seems as if you are allowing the black king to escape. But now the crucial move, bishop e4. Bishop e4 getting onto this diagonal, and now you can see that the king is absolutely restrained. It needs to get back to the back rank. Okay, so let's go over this once again. Let's go over the crucial points, and then we are going to move forward. So after king h8, what we did so far was knight f7 check, beginning the W maneuver, king g8, bishop e4, a waiting move, king f8, bishop h7, restraining the king from g8, king e8, knight e5, following up with the W maneuver, not allowing the king to exit the back rank, king d8, king e6, allowing the king to c7, and now knight d7, preventing the king from entering the b6 square. King d8, bishop d3, a waiting move, and preparing to get into bishop e4, and after king c7, bishop e4. And now you can already see that it's becoming easier. The king needs to get to the back rank. If it goes into c8, it's going to be slightly easier. The most resistant move is king d8. After king d8, you play king d6, opposition. The king can escape to e8, but as you said, that's not a problem. That would have happened if the king had, in this position, after knight d7, gone into b6, into c6. Okay, so king d8, bishop d3, king c7, bishop e4, king d8, king d6, bishop e8, but now you have bishop g6 with check, forcing the king to d8. And now you need to remember this position as well. We said f7, e5, d7, and then c5, knight c5, almost completing your W maneuver, knight c5, king c8. Now you need another waiting move. The king can go to d8, the king can go to b8. Either square is fine for you. What you want to achieve is for black to have to move. So bishop h5, a simple waiting move. After king d8, now it's going to be much easier because you get to complete your W maneuver with a check, forcing the king forward. Knight b8 check, knight b7 check. And now the king has only one square, c8, king c8. This is, I would say, stage 3 complete. So what have we done from here? Let's look at the knight moves. So the first knight move was knight f7 check. Then we had knight e5. Then we had knight d7. Then we had knight c5. And now finally we get, now finally we get to knight b7 check. So what happened from knight c5? Knight c5, king c8, bishop h5, a waiting move, king to d8. The king can escape to d8, but you kept your bishop on this diagonal and you are restraining the king from entering the second rank. So now knight b7 forces the king into c8. And from here on, it's easy. It's made in several moves. I'm not sure how many exactly. I think the least possible is 7 or 8. So now what you do is gain the opposition, king c6, king b8, the only square for the king, bishop g4. This part, even though it's easy to learn, is tricky if you don't know it. What you need is a couple of waiting moves. So bishop g4, the first thing, restraining the king from coming back. The king, of course, doesn't go to a8 voluntarily, it goes to a7, the most resistant move. And now you start moving your knight back in the W maneuver, but you're not going to go here. You're going to go c5, a6. Remember that. Once you have finished your W maneuver, if you can, you should try to remember that visually. That helped me the most. So once I complete my W, so I go f7, e5, d7, c5, b7. Once I've done the W, then I go c5, a6. Okay. So once you have completed the W and the king is on a7, you play knight c5. After knight c5, your next move is going to be knight a6, your next move with the knight. So now, which squares does the king have? It has a8 and b8. b8 is the best square, so b8. Now you take the opposition, king b6. The king doesn't have any squares but the a8 square, and now you are done. King a8. The king is in the corner, and this is now mate in 3 moves. The final thing you need to remember is that the setup of the pieces you want to have is knight, king, bishop. That means you want your knight on a6, your king on b6, and your bishop on c6 to deliver the final checkmate. You checkmate with your bishop. The thing you need to be worried about is stalemate. So now what you need to do is have a couple of waiting moves. You need a couple of waiting moves. It doesn't matter where you move the bishop on this diagonal, as long as it doesn't go to the c8 square, you need to keep it on one of these squares in order to deliver checkmate. So bishop d7, forcing the king to b8. After king b8, now you move your knight for a check. This is the final move with the knight, knight a6 check, and after king a8, this is now checkmate. So this is the setup you want to have. So let's go back from the position we had on the board when the king was on h8. So the king is in the opposite corner. This is always going to happen easily in your games because your opponents are going to know that they need to go to the opposite colored corner. So what do? King f6, bring the king closer, king g8. Bishop f5, a waiting move, king h8, knight f7, the beginning of the W, king g8, bishop e4, a waiting move, forcing the king to f8. Only after the king is on f8, you now play bishop h7, restraining the king from entering the g8 square. And now we move forward. King e8, knight e5, W, king d8, king e6, allowing the king to c7. Knight d7, king d8. Bishop d3, a waiting move and preparing to get into e4. And after king c7, the crucial move, bishop e4, restraining the king, now finally bringing him to the back rank, and it's never coming back out until king a7 when he is already getting checkmated. King d6 opposition, allowing the king seemingly to go back, but not really because bishop g6 check. King d8, knight c5, almost completing the W. King c8, bishop h5, a waiting move. King d8, knight b7 check, completing the W. King c8, king c6, taking the opposition. King b8 only square. Bishop g4, restraining the king from entering c8. King a7, knight c5, and as we said, after finishing the W, you need knight c5, knight a6. King b8, king b6, king a8, bishop d7. If you don't play this waiting move, let's say you play knight a6 immediately, then it's stalemate. So you need a waiting move. Bishop d7, king b8, knight a6, king a8, bishop c6, checkmate. I hope this was clear enough. I know it's complicated. The best way to do this is to practice. I need more practice myself, and I've solved 50 of these. So I'm going to try to solve one now. This is just a random position I've set up on the board, and I don't know how long it will take. This is the end of the lesson, and I'm just going to try to show it to you in practice, and hopefully it will help you. My advice would be that you put this position on the board and try to practice it yourself. Okay, so the last time I tried recording myself solving the exercise that was on the board, my PC died, my laptop died, so I've solved it and didn't manage to record it, so I had to set up another one, and I didn't want to cheat and solve the position I already knew. So I've set up another random position, and I'm going to try to solve it now. So let's go. The last position I solved in 34 moves. I hope I can do this one faster. I have a dark squared bishop, so I can checkmate on a1 or h8, and the first thing I want to do is get my king closer. He should stay in the light squared corner for as long as possible and try to be as resilient as possible. So here I got my king in position. The next thing I want to do is be able to check with my knight from the b6 square, and then have my bishop restrain his king and force it to a6. So now let's say he keeps repeating moves. How do I get here? Okay, here, 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 check. He goes here. Now I need to get my bishop to this diagonal. I need to be able to play bishop b8. So here, he only has one square. So king a6, and now after bishop b8, I'm sorry, my laptop is just horrible and dying. Now he has to go to a5, and this is the first part. This is the first part of the plan done. After the move king a5, after king a5, I have to continue. I have to continue the maneuver. I have to start the W maneuver in my knight, and I'm actually going to try and concentrate to make sure that I don't mess something up. Okay, so knight d5, king a4. If I ever had this in a real game, I'd be really stressed out. So okay, knight d5, continuing with the W maneuver. I want to play this. Okay, king a4. Now his king is going to go to b3. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so king c5, king b3, and then we continue. Okay, king c5, king b3. Now I have to cut him off from the c2 square. Okay, here. Now he goes here, and I have to play bishop f4 to prevent him from getting out, from escaping. And this should be the first stage complete. Okay, he has the b3 square and the b2 square. Let's say b3, it seems much more resilient. I need a waiting move. I need a waiting move still controlling the square c3, so bishop d2. Let's say he tries to escape. Okay, so now he's threatening to go to a5, so now I complete the W. So I went from here to here to here to here, so now knight d3. He doesn't have this, this, or this. King b3. Okay, so now I once again have to prevent him from entering the c2 square. So now he has a3, b2, a3 and b2. Okay, so now after king a3, I go king c4, and once he goes to a4 now I can play knight d3 and I have a better position, because now he is forced to go to a3, and after king a3 I can check him. No, I don't need to check him here yet. Wait. Yeah, bishop b4 check, forcing him here. No, yeah, if he goes to a4, this is checkmate. This I've actually had today when I was practicing this variation. This is the only other chance of self-mate for black, and now if I play this, this is checkmate, but no player with the black pieces is going to allow it, so that's why he needs to go to a2. And now we finish this. Let me concentrate for the checkmate. Okay. Okay, done. Okay, it was stressful once again solving this over the board, but I got it. This is now 27 moves, so I'm happy. And yeah, it was complicated. I just want to look at the finish again. This position from king a2 and this position king a4 checkmate, which was incredible. I actually had this when you bishop b4 check. I've had this today when practicing, and I saw, which I, to be honest, had no idea that you can checkmate outside of the corner, that after king a4 in this position you can checkmate. So I guess that on any square on the side of the board you can do that if black obliges. But a much more resilient defense is king a2. So okay, we had this position with king a8. When the king got in the corner, this is crucial, and then king c6. I wanted to get this knight b6 check, and then this, and then forcing the king with the move bishop b8, and then going for the W maneuver, cutting the king off, and then this checkmate possibility occurred, which I'm happy actually occurred in this position. But as we said, king a2 is a much better move. So king a2, and then the finish. I'm sorry I had to concentrate, but still, even though I did it 50 times, I really don't want to mess up. So this is the checkmate. This bishop move, waiting move, is crucial. You don't want to stalemate. One more waiting move to make sure that you are able to check with the knight first and then check with the bishop. So once the king goes to a2, then you check with the knight and checkmate with the bishop. Okay. Sorry if this video is too long. I hope you found this exercise helpful and that you can remember this side thing with the mate on the side of the board. Perhaps one of your opponents is going to allow that. And I hope you like the exercise. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about it. Once again, if you're a patron, you're going to get extra content regarding this video, the knight and bishop checkmate. And let me know what you think. Thanks very much, and stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.
Yeah.